The murder of 23-year-old Fort Hare University student Nosicelo Mtembeni has cast the spotlight yet again on gender-based violence in universities. Her dismembered body was found in a suitcase, those harrowing details coming to us just a few days ago. Now, in 2019, a task team on gender-based violence was set up to advise the Department of Higher Education on how to prevent sexual violence at universities. African feminist scholar from Nelson Mandela University, that's Professor Pumla Gqola, is a member of that task team. She is also the author of 6 books, including Female Fear Factory. Another book is Rape, a South African Nightmare. In fact, she joins us now to weigh in on the scourge of gender-based violence in our institutions of higher learning. Professor Gqola, it's great to have you with us this morning on the show, albeit on a topic like this one. And, you know, I've been trying to think about what my first question would be to you insofar as the gruesome murder of Nosicelo Mtembeni is concerned. And it takes me back to the concluding chapter in your seminal book, which, if I may add, is now in its 12th reprint, and that is Rape, a South African Nightmare, where you say, quote, "Many times I've told everybody in my life how I do not want to write it. I wish that I did not have to think about rape, that it was not so close to home." I dare say that's how every woman reading the story of Nosicelo this week has been feeling.
Yes, I certainly, I imagine you're right. And I think not just, I think that the gruesomeness and that sense of, oh God, not again, is certainly one of the significant ways in which I imagine many of us across the country responded this week. So, no, I don't disagree with you.
You know, and
yet, of course, we have to continue. And yet, of course, it's also important to bear in mind that this is not an isolated incident. I mean, I think it's justified and it's humane to respond to violence in empathetic ways and with anger and with determination to do better. But I think it's also important to remember that this is part of a larger pattern, right? That it is not, it's important for us not to treat every single one of these events as an isolated event.
And that larger pattern, how much of that pattern is based entirely at our institutions of higher learning?
Well, I mean, I think that what we are seeing globally, not just in South Africa, globally, is that universities are battling quite significantly with astronomical levels of gender-based violence. That there's something in the institutions, right? And across the world, there is significant difficulty in successfully dealing with gender-based violence, violence against women, violence against queer people, across the board. So yes, a significant percentage of it is at universities. And I think we're yet to fully appreciate why it is that universities are so heavily shaped by gender-based violence in the ways that they are. And certainly the suggestion would be that rather than thinking about universities as simply part of society and reflecting the patterns of a larger society, we need to be paying a lot more attention to what it is about universities that in fact facilitates this kind of violence.
Can you help us understand that, Professor? Because it comes at a time where we're still trying to understand what it is in ordinary society that facilitates this kind of violence.
So, I mean, there are things we know and there are things we perhaps don't know to the same extent. So one of the things we know is that, of course, violence against women is a core part of patriarchal societies, right? That you cannot simply treat or decrease violence against women, gender-based violence on universities without paying attention to the larger context that makes the larger system that needs it, right? And I think we need to be quite unapologetic about the fact that patriarchy cannot exist without gender-based violence. And so we understand some of that. We understand what gender-based violence, we understand what violence against women is for. It's for keeping women in place. It's for defending patriarchy. And so universities very often want to treat sexual harassment, rape, battery, all of these things, intimate partner violence, all of these things, as though they're isolated instances, as though you can treat the violence without treating the thing that the violence serves to perpetuate. And so I think we need to be moving to think about the ways in which universities can in fact be laboratories, if you will, for a different kind of thinking about gender, a different kind of, so how do we create safe campuses? What would that look like? Not just in relation to the obvious things that we call violence, but also the ways in which universities work, which are